Are you prepared for the next pandemic? With the rise of new viruses and diseases, it's only a matter of time before we face another crisis. But don't worry, I have a list of 7 must-have items that will keep you safe and prepared when the next pandemic hits. Welcome to my channel, where I bring you the latest in survival and preparedness. As we've seen with recent events, being ready for a pandemic is crucial to your well-being. But it's not just about stocking up on toilet paper and disinfectant wipes. There are essential items that many people overlook. Stick around as I reveal these 7 life-saving items that you need to buy before the next pandemic strikes. First off, let's talk about the things you really don't need to buy. Trust me, they're just a waste of time. Plus, going to the store to get these items can put you at even more risk of getting exposed to the virus. 1, toilet paper. In the face of a pandemic, it's human nature to want to prepare and protect ourselves. However, one particular item that has found itself at the forefront of this response is, surprisingly, toilet paper. As we navigate through these uncertain times, it's become evident that this humble household essential has become a symbol of security for many, despite the irrationality of such behavior. As the pandemic spread, images of bare supermarket shelves once stocked with toilet paper sent shockwaves around the world. This prompted a buying frenzy, despite the fact that toilet paper is not a critical supply for pandemic preparedness. The panic buying of toilet paper is more psychological than practical. In times of crisis, humans instinctively seek control where they can find it. Stockpiling toilet paper provides a sense of control over hygiene, which is a primary concern during a pandemic. Nevertheless, it's interesting to note that countries hit earlier by the virus did not report significant shortages of toilet paper. People in these regions shared their experiences online, painting a different picture of what's truly necessary during a pandemic. Evidently, the focus was more on securing food items and medical supplies rather than toilet paper. Toilet paper does not need to be hoarded. While it is an essential daily item, its demand does not increase during a pandemic. As seen from the experiences of those who are further into their pandemic situations, toilet paper is not a priority issue. 2 heads to. Bottled water. While it's true that bottled water can be a valuable resource in emergency situations such as hurricanes, tornadoes, or earthquakes, when regular water supply might be disrupted, its necessity during a pandemic is considerably. This is because, unlike natural disasters, a pandemic does not typically affect the infrastructure that provides us with clean, potable water. Water treatment plants are considered essential infrastructure. They continue their operations even if non-essential government offices close due to a pandemic. This ensures that every household still has access to a steady supply of clean tap water. Therefore, the need to hoard bottled water for daily use becomes redundant. Furthermore, there is currently no evidence to suggest that the virus responsible for the pandemic can be transmitted through water. This means that drinking tap water poses no additional risk of infection. Hence, the perceived need to switch to bottled water for safety reasons is unfounded. In conclusion, while having a few bottles of water in your pantry for emergencies is always a good idea, hoarding it during a pandemic is unnecessary and could lead to an artificial shortage. It's important to remember that our actions during these times affect not just us, but the entire community. As the world grapples with the new pandemic, we've seen some rather surprising items on people's hoarding lists. One such item is gasoline. While it may seem like an odd choice, there's a certain logic behind this behavior. However, when you delve deeper into the situation, it becomes clear that hoarding gasoline during a pandemic might not be as rational as it appears. Firstly, it's important to understand that gasoline is typically stockpiled in situations of natural disasters or emergencies where mobility is crucial and fuel supplies might be interrupted. However, a pandemic doesn't quite fit this scenario. Unlike hurricanes or earthquakes, a pandemic doesn't disrupt the supply chain for gasoline significantly. And this is because the supply chain for gasoline is not heavily dependent on human interaction and continue to function even in the face of widespread illness. Furthermore, as more and more people self-quarantine and stay home, the demand for gasoline is expected to decrease. This is because most commuting, be it for work, school, or social activities, is significantly reduced. As a result, the average household's gasoline consumption is likely to drop, negating the need for excessive stockpiling. Lastly, many might argue that gasoline is needed to power generators in case of electricity disruptions, but it's worth noting that the virus is not expected to interrupt electricity supplies. Power stations and electricity grids are critical infrastructures that will remain operational ensuring a constant supply of electricity to households. For guns and ammunition, as a pandemic takes hold, it's not uncommon for fear and uncertainty to influence people's actions. One such action that's currently gaining attention is the purchase of guns and ammunition. While this might feel like a necessary step for some, in reality, it could be more of a knee-jerk reaction than a well-thought-out strategy. The idea behind stocking up on firearms and ammunition seems to stem from a fear of potential societal disruption. With a pandemic potentially lasting for months until herd immunity is reached, some people might be concerned about the possibility of civil unrest. However, it's crucial to understand that these fears are largely unfounded and can lead to unnecessary panic. Countries that have been dealing with the pandemic for months have not reported any major instances of civil unrest. Despite the challenges and difficulties, societies have shown remarkable resilience and unity. People have come together to support each other rather than resorting to violence or disorder. This clearly indicates that the fear of civil unrest, which is driving people to purchase guns and ammunition, is largely exaggerated. Now, let's look at some essential items that you should be stocking up on to ensure your safety and well-being during this pandemic. 1. Food. The necessity of having sufficient food at home cannot be overstated, particularly when we may need to self-quarantine for an extended period. But what does sufficiency mean in this context, and how should we go about stocking our pantries? The recommended approach is to have enough food supplies to last 2 to 4 weeks, or even up to 2 months, depending on the severity of the situation. This doesn't mean hoarding large amounts of food, but rather planning your purchases carefully to ensure you and your family have enough to eat during a possible quarantine period. The amount of food you have at home directly impacts your ability to self-quarantine effectively. Your pantry is well stocked. It eliminates the need to make frequent trips to the grocery store, thus reducing the risk of exposure to the virus. It's important to remember that the goal of self-quarantine is to minimize contact with others as much as possible. Therefore, having a good supply of food at home is a crucial strategy in achieving this goal. One comforting fact is that even during a quarantine period, essential services like clean drinking water and electricity will still be accessible. This means you can continue to cook meals at home without any major disruptions. Therefore, while planning your food purchases, consider items that you normally consume and can prepare with the resources available at home. In addition to your regular food supplies, consider buying additional non-perishable foods. These could include canned goods, pastas, rice, and peanut butter. These items have a long shelf life and can come in handy if your quarantine period extends longer than anticipated. Furthermore, they offer variety and flexibility in meal preparation, which can be a morale booster during challenging times. While it's true that a pandemic situation may lead to some shortage in food supplies, it's unlikely to result in complete depletion. Supply chains for essential goods like food are usually robust and can withstand temporary disruptions. However, it's still a good idea to be prepared and have enough supplies at home to avoid unnecessary stress. Finally, by stocking up on food now, you can avoid going to the grocery store during the peak of the virus spread. This is a simple yet effective measure to reduce your risk of exposure. Remember, every trip avoided is a potential infection avoided. 2. Disinfectant wipes. In the midst of a pandemic, there are several items that can play a critical role in maintaining health and safety. Among these, disinfectant wipes have emerged as a veritable superhero. Brands like Lysol and Clorox, whose packaging claims they can kill viruses, have seen an increase in demand. But why are these simple household items so important during a pandemic? The answer lies in the nature of the virus itself. Research suggests that the virus can survive on surfaces such as doorknobs, gas pumps, and even grocery items for varying amounts of time. While there are conflicting reports about exactly how long the virus can live on these surfaces, it's clear that surface transmission is a possibility that we need to consider seriously. This is where disinfectant wipes come into play. These handy tools allow us to clean and disinfect surfaces quickly and effectively. By wiping down commonly touched objects like doorknobs, light switches, and countertops, we can significantly reduce the risk of virus transmission within our homes. Similarly, using these wipes to clean items brought into the home from outside can serve as an additional line of defense against the virus. However, it's essential to use these wipes correctly to ensure their effectiveness. Most disinfectant wipes require the surface to remain wet for a certain period, usually a few minutes, to kill most germs effectively. This means that simply swiping the surface quickly may not be enough. It's advisable to read the instructions on the packaging and follow them to get the maximum benefit. While disinfectant wipes can be a valuable tool in our pandemic defense kit, it's important to remember that they are not a substitute for other preventive measures. Regular hand washing with soap and water, wearing masks, and practicing social distancing are still the most effective ways to prevent the spread of the virus. 3S gloves. In the context of a pandemic, gloves have become an essential item for many. While they may appear to be a simple accessory, they can play a significant role in preventing virus transmission. Whether you're using medical gloves or food service gloves, having this layer of protection can make a difference in your safety protocol. The primary function of gloves in this scenario is to act as a barrier between your skin and potentially contaminated surfaces. The coronavirus, like many other viruses, can spread through contact with infected surfaces. When you touch a surface that has been contaminated with the virus and then touch your face, you risk introducing the virus into your body. Wearing gloves can help prevent this type of transmission. Consider, for example, a trip to the gas station. Here, multiple people touch the fuel pumps daily, increasing the chances of contamination. By wearing gloves while pumping fuel, you can protect your hands from coming into direct contact with the pump. After you're done, you can safely dispose of the gloves, thereby reducing the risk of carrying the virus back with you. While medical gloves offer the highest level of protection, food service gloves can also be effective. It may not be as thick or durable as medical gloves, but they can still provide a protective barrier against the virus. The key is to use them properly. Make sure the gloves fit well and cover your hands completely. Also, avoid touching your face while wearing the gloves, as this could still lead to virus transmission. However, it's important to remember that gloves are not a substitute for good hand hygiene. Washing your hands thoroughly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds is still the best way to kill the virus. Gloves should be seen as an additional measure, especially when you're out in public and can't wash your hands immediately after touching a potentially contaminated surface. Gloves can also serve as a visual reminder to avoid touching your face. Often, we touch our faces unconsciously, and it can be hard to break this habit. Wearing gloves can make you more aware of your hand movements and help you resist the urge to touch your face. For N95 masks or surgical masks. In the face of a global pandemic, personal protective equipment such as N95 masks and surgical masks have become household names. These items, once primarily used by healthcare professionals, are now sought after by the general public for personal protection. 95 masks, named for their ability to filter out 95 airborne particles, and surgical masks, which mainly protect others from the wearer's respiratory emissions, are seen as crucial barriers against the virus. However, the effectiveness of these masks and the necessity of their purchase for non-healthcare individuals have been topics of debate. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has advised the American public against buying masks, citing that they should be reserved for healthcare professionals who are on the front lines. However, this guidance has been met with skepticism due to concerns about supply shortages. If masks are so important for protection against the virus, why shouldn't everyone have access to them? The significant factor contributing to the mask shortage is the fact that many masks, particularly N95 masks, are manufactured in China. During the pandemic, China has been accused of hoarding masks, leaving other countries struggling to secure enough for their populations. In response to the shortage, American factories have been ramping up production of masks. The goal is not only to meet the current demand, but also to build a stockpile for future needs. However, this process takes time, and it may be a while before supply catches up with demand. Some speculate that the CDC's advice against buying masks may be an attempt to reserve the limited supply for the medical community. After all, healthcare workers are at the highest risk of exposure to the virus and thus have the greatest need for high-quality PPE. In conclusion, 95 masks and surgical masks are undoubtedly important during a pandemic. They provide a layer of protection that can help reduce the spread of the virus. First aid kit. During a pandemic, it's important to be prepared for any eventualities, including minor injuries or illnesses that may occur. One of the most essential items to have on hand during such times is a first aid kit. Not only does a well-stocked first aid kit help in managing health issues at home, but it can also be a lifesaver during emergencies when immediate medical attention is required. First aid kits come in different sizes and varieties, but they all serve the same purpose, to provide immediate medical assistance in case of an emergency. According to the Red Cross, basic first aid kit for a family of 4 should include absorbent compressed dressings, adhesive bandages in various sizes, antiseptic wipe packets, and other necessary items. These supplies can be used to treat common injuries like cuts, burns, or sprains. The Mayo Clinic further recommends including items like adhesive tape, elastic wrap bandages, super glue for sealing wounds, and a rubber tourniquet in your first aid kit. These are particularly useful for more serious injuries. It's also a good idea to include a thermometer and over-the-counter medicines like ibuprofen and diphenhydramine to manage mild illnesses. However, in light of the ongoing pandemic, it might be necessary to upgrade your regular first aid kit with some additional items. Montgomery County suggests adding face coverings, hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol, sanitizing wipes, and soap to your first aid kit. These items can help prevent the spread of the virus if you need to step outside or if someone in your home falls ill. Even if you already have a first aid kit, it's important to regularly check and restock it to ensure all items are present and have not expired. For instance, adhesive bandages lose their stickiness over time, and medicines have expiration dates. A first aid kit is only as useful as its contents, so make sure everything in it is in good working order. 6. On outdoor exercise equipment during a pandemic. It's not uncommon for public gyms and fitness centers to close as a health and safety measure. As a result, many people have turned to home workouts to keep up with their fitness routines. This is where outdoor exercise equipment like resistance bands and yoga mats come into play. These items are not only affordable and compact, but also incredibly versatile, making them ideal for home workouts. Resistance bands are one of the most popular choices when it comes to home workout equipment. They offer an effective way to build muscle in both the upper and lower body, as well as the core. Plus, they come in a range of resistance levels from highly stretchable to heavy-duty strength, making them suitable for all fitness levels. You can use them for a quick 20-minute full-body workout or a more intense 30-minute session. In addition to resistance bands, a yoga mat is another valuable piece of outdoor exercise equipment. It provides a comfortable and supportive surface for a variety of exercises from yoga and Pilates to bodyweight workouts. Yoga mat can also be used for stretching and recovery sessions, which are crucial for maintaining flexibility and preventing injuries. But perhaps the biggest advantage of having outdoor exercise equipment is the opportunity to take your workouts outside. Even during a pandemic, it's usually safe to exercise outdoors as long as you maintain social distancing guidelines. Working out in the fresh air and sunshine can be a great mood booster and a welcome change from being cooped up indoors. 7, B-Bays-B, board games and puzzles. As the world grapples with the pandemic, lockdowns and quarantines have become a common occurrence, with people spending more time at home. Finding ways to stay entertained has become incredibly important. This is where board games and puzzles come in. Not only do these items provide hours of fun, but they also serve as a welcome distraction from the stress and anxiety that often accompany such uncertain times. Board games have long been a favorite form of entertainment for families and friends. From classics like Monopoly and Scrabble to more recent hits like Codenames and Pandemic, there's a game out there to suit every taste and age group. Whether you're a fan of strategy games, trivia games, or party games, playing board games can provide hours of amusement while also stimulating your mind. Moreover, board games have the added advantage of fostering social interaction. They encourage communication, cooperation, and friendly competition, making them a great way to bond with family members or roommates. Even during a pandemic, you can still enjoy playing board games with friends virtually. Websites and apps like Tabletopia and Board Game Arena allow you to play hundreds of board games online with people from all over the world. Puzzles, on the other hand, offer a more solitary but equally rewarding experience. Working on a puzzle can be a calming activity that helps reduce stress and improve mood. Plus, it provides a sense of accomplishment once completed, whether it's a 500-piece jigsaw puzzle, a challenging 3D puzzle, or a brain-bending logic puzzle. This activity can keep you entertained for hours on end. Furthermore, puzzles are beneficial for mental health. They help improve memory, enhance problem-solving skills, and even delay the onset of cognitive decline. For children, puzzles can aid in the development of fine motor skills and spatial awareness.